As one of the original founders of the hip-hop movement, Russell Simmons was instrumental in creating what is now a multi-billion-dollar industry. In his latest venture, he now teaches the art of entrepreneurship to young would-be moguls. I'm Kelsey Hubbard, joined now by Russell Simmons, the CEO of Rush Communications. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, for some people, it's so hard to take that original idea and then actually take it to the entrepreneurial stage and then grow that into a huge money-making business. So what gave you the courage to first start out and get through those steps and create the company that you did?
I was very lucky. I found a passion in music, and that music caused me to want to share it. You know, I mean, I think that's what we wake up, we have something we want to give, and we go to work on it. What you use the perfect word, courage. You know, you have to be able to resist. People will want you to do the traditional thing or the conventional thing. So if you have this idea and you want to share it with the world, and the world is only has a few ideas in works, and the rest of all the ideas are, bound, there's so much that's not being done. So in other words, if you're an entrepreneur, you just see any of those many things, God gives you so many talents, any of those things would do. You can be anything you want to be, and you can start today as opposed to waiting for some opportunity.
So tell me, when you started to get a larger company, when you went from being the entrepreneur to a larger established company, did you have to change your management style and your leadership style when you had people working for you and the company grew?
A lot of times, in many instances, I built companies where I was the only one that believed. And then someone else would come along, and because they see it starting to happen, they would find a part, that they could play a role, and they would help me to build that company. And over a period of time, some of those executives became more equipped to manage those companies than I did. And I was able to move outside of those companies and start another process. That's been my experience, because I like to give equity and incentive to people. So my experiences are that, I start alone. I have this idea, and mostly my ideas are kind of quirky. No one wanted to do poetry on television. No one wanted to do comedy in the way that we did comedy, certainly. And people didn't believe in it. They certainly didn't believe in rap music or in this fashion venture that we started 20 years ago. So it was the only one. There were no African Americans, there were no companies like ours, and there was no real distribution of the kind of ideas I was producing. So I've had the experience of doing things that were fairly unique.
And talk to me about this new venture you're doing, Race to Be, where you're actually teaching or encouraging young, creative people to be entrepreneurs. Is that something you can teach someone?
Well, I think you just have to remind them that, they're not going to starve. People have fearful,
Right.
They're fearful. They think that they have to accomplish something immediately and that they're going to be secure somehow, but they have to know that the security is already in them, and they have to operate from that kind of abundance that's inside them. And I try to promote that to young people. I think it's a very, very core skill, is to keep rebuilding faith. That's something you teach, faith. You teach by example. You point out to them that they're safe, and so that's part of how you build entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure.
I've been speaking with Russell Simmons, the CEO of Rush Communications. I'm Kelsey Hubbard for the Wall Street Journal Digital Network.